Welcome to the Story Takes Responsibility podcast, a show for companies, marketing teams, and founders looking to improve their storytelling through video. Make the process easier and feel more confident walking into their marketing plans. Our mission is to add value through our decade-plus experience in making video production more than just videos, but videos with objectives and partnerships with brands that value consistency. Our hope is that this podcast makes you more sustainable and budget-conscious in your marketing efforts. This show will inspire ideas and value, but most importantly, we want you to take action towards better storytelling.
Ready to get into this episode? You are?
I'm ready.
Well, I am too. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Ross and Josh here from Milan. We're back with another episode. This one, we're going to talk about the difference between marketing and advertising. There's some similarities, but there's also a lot of differences that people, I think, tend to overlook. You can kind of look at those two things. You can say marketing and advertising, well, it's all storytelling. It's all about advertising my brand. It doesn't matter what form it's in. I just want to get some more sales. I just want to get more attention on my company, my product, whatever it may be. But there's some differences there. So I'd love for us to kick this one off by you explaining, what are those differences? What's the difference between marketing and advertising? How are they different?
All right, listen, I'm not going to give you guys a definition that's, from the dictionary. I'm going to give you kind of the 101 class, but this could also be a refresher. If you're new to video marketing or, any kind of content creation, or if you're just kind of living on one side of the coin or the other, and it just feels like you're doing the same thing, you just need a different perspective, I'm going to offer a different definition. And we just try to keep it kind of more simplified to separate these things, because I think they get lumped together a lot of times, like marketing, advertising, same difference. No, they're really very different in my opinion. We look at marketing as storytelling, and it's just really understanding the story that's at hand and making sure that when you're crafting that story, when you're making that content, you're making it in a way that you want to invite people in, that it's the accurate story that you want to tell, and it's consistent. It's not all over the place. Bringing unity to every single piece of content. This is your copywriting. This is your video. This is your photo. This is your podcast. This is your sales team. All these things play a big role in the story that you're telling and the entry points that people come into your brand, into your business, into your story. That's marketing. Advertising is this objective piece. And I always say, good storytelling has an objective. We start with that objective in marketing, but it really does come down to understanding who you are. Advertising, this is conversions. This is CTAs. This is, targeting people to different directions. A lot of the times it's like that is what people want. They're like, I want more sales. I want more people here. I want more people there. But if we skip that storytelling piece, if we skip the marketing piece, if we don't separate these two things, they can come together. But I think it's really important to tackle it in a 1-2 step. And another way that you could really look at it is marketing. This is your organic strategy. Advertising, this is your paid. And it's not to say, like, if you're trusting 100% to pay to reach new audiences to generate awareness, are you paying for the right audience or are you paying for the wrong audience? Whereas if you have good indicators from organic marketing, organic storytelling, that's automatically bringing people in, you're kind of putting it in the places that you think make the most sense. You have a good indicator of who you should retarget, who you should put that energy and effort into, because you're understanding who your client is. It's like we get into a Google ad or into a Facebook ad or whatever platform you're choosing. There's demographics and all these things, like create your avatars. That's a helpful exercise. But I also think like it takes away that storytelling piece. And it's like, have we even created the right piece of content that's going to resonate for this avatar? It gets almost too technical. And it's like, we need to understand who we are, what we stand for, why we do what we do. And then we can actually apply that to the right avatar, to the right person. And we can make this paid piece a lot less expensive, a lot more accurate, and honestly, a lot more fun.
When we're talking about that, paid marketing or advertising versus the organic marketing and advertising, where do you think people go wrong with that? Is it just kind of a one-track mindset of, oh, well, we have a photo, we have a video that talks about how great our thing is or how cool our company is or whatever. Let's boost it on Facebook. Let's create an ad. There we go. We targeted it, whatever. There we go. That's our advertisement. And man, it's not really clicking. It's not really working. Is it the fact that people often, because I've had this conversation just as much as you have with many people over the years of, they just kind of try that once. They're like, well, I gave Facebook my $20 for a day or two, and it reached 1,000 people, but it only got 50 likes. And nobody really clicked on our website, no one did anything. Rather than reverting it back to step one, it's like, okay, well, what portion of your marketing are you trying to advertise? Is there emotion tied to it? Is there purpose tied to it? Is there intention tied to it? Is it just supposed to be an advertisement to, hey, buy our new thing, we've got a sale going on this month? Okay, I get that. I understand. Not everything has to be layers upon layers of deep. But where do you think people go wrong with that paid versus organic strategy? Is it not even focusing on the organic strategy to begin with and just going straight to paid?
It's both. And I'm going to say, our thing is about long-term approach. It's getting people more proactive, thinking a little bit more into the future. And I think that's the real key, whether you're talking about marketing or advertising. Like the best time to start was 25 years ago. The next best time is to start today, whatever the Chinese adage is or, whatnot. So it's like, okay, the fear of starting is a big thing. Maybe you're not doing this at all. Or maybe you've been doing it for a while and you just need to change it up. For me, and I'll reference Brandon Kane's 1 Million Followers and Hook Point book. I love those books. They're social media books. You could look at 1 million followers and say, oh, it's a book about, strategies on different social platforms. 100% that's in there. But the thing that he emphasizes over and over throughout that book is understanding your voice, understanding your story, understanding why you even exist to be on this platform. So if you're going to exist on Google or on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever you choose, who do you want to meet? What story do you want? And what do you really want from it? Is it likes and views? You can pay for those all day long. Are they quality likes and views is the better question to ask. And before we get to those likes and views, let's think about what story do we even want to tell so that we can amplify to the right people with the right message. So long-term thinking is really, to me, the biggest obstacle. It's scary to start 100%. But okay, let's say we're putting out consistent messaging. Maybe we're not getting a ton of likes and views, but maybe we are getting quality leads. So is it better to have 1,000 likes on something and 0 sales from it or 0 inquiries from it? Or is it better to have 100 on there and 10 inquiries because you're saying the right thing to the right people? Would you rather amplify to the masses because you're not everything for everyone? You're something for someone. That's really important to understand because when we get into this social media, this marketing thing, it's like, what are we really looking at? What does success really look at? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Rather than being like, oh my God, we need so many views. We need all this. But for why? Is it the right people? That's really important distinction.
That's, I feel like, been my consistent, I don't know if it's hang up or just thing that I really, really have always paid attention to, at least in recent years, when it comes to social media and all that sort of stuff and how I'm marketing myself or how we're marketing ourselves or advertising or whatever is like, I'm always looking at am I attracting the right people? Yes, I would love to get 10,000 likes on every single thing that I did and have everybody giving me hype flame emojis in the comments. But also what is that really? What is that actually doing? Is that really creating a solid community of support around me and my creations or my product or whatever it may be? And it really is coming down to trying to focus on building something that is sustainable.
Yeah.
Something that is, because I can identify, at least for me, I don't want to sit and post hype TikTok dance IG reel things just because the algorithm would award me, and then I feel like I'm doing better marketing. I feel like I'm advertising really well. I would rather create consistency over time of being very consistent in the way that I am authentic and vulnerable in how I market my creations or what I do, or how I just share in general. I would rather have that be what my quote unquote marketing and advertising ways are built off of, rather than a non-sustainable, very quick, give me the injection of dopamine that says that I got a lot of attention on social. I would rather create something more sustainable over time by actually giving it layers, giving it an actual foundation of what matters. And we talk about this a lot on this show, is like building that consistency. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest part when it comes to marketing your product, yourself, your brand, whatever. Building something that's sustainable and consistent over time.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with experimenting or trends or anything like that. But I'll use the Brewdog example when we did the Lamb of God film for them. Like for them, they'd been doing more of like the general, like, let's show our products and things like that when they were making like video content or photo content. And they hadn't done a whole lot of like, they've done some live events, but they hadn't done a whole lot of talking head stuff. So obviously Maddie introduces us and like, Ross and Josh, they love doing this sort of stuff. Let me introduce you. Let's make this project, yada, yada, yada. So it's totally new for them. And for us, like, it was just to support the release of the collaboration of that beer. And it was like, let's make a big celebration, a big splash online. That was kind of the thought with that project. It really supported in a different way because they ended up having like their biggest online sales at the time of dropping that product, which that wasn't even our goal, that was just a fun little byproduct. Fast forward a few years later and it's like, now they're using that film to open doors to other collaborations. So again, like, is it about the social media or the marketing, or is it the opportunity? What is that really doing? Looking at another project. I remember we did this, like, I think it was like a $5,000 film for that like Department of Defense thing. And when we did that project, it was like, there wasn't even a massive audience. That wasn't going public at all. That was to go to one place, and that opened up a really big contract and a really big opportunity for them to enhance that one relationship. So business to business, one to one, but that opportunity was there. So when we think about advertising, this doesn't even have to be public or ads or anything like that. It can literally be, who are we talking to with this film? And then how do we infuse it with the right story? So these do go hand in hand. They feel really disjointed at certain times. They feel really confusing at other times. But the reality is like, it's just thinking about, what is the story? How consistent is that story? And who does it need to go to? Why is it going to them? And what opportunity does that create by going about it that way? So yes, there is a difference when we look at marketing versus advertising. But I think for me, and this is my biased opinion, and I think you would agree with it, is like, it starts with the story. It starts with understanding kind of the heart of what this is about, creating the alignment with all the parties in this, rather than this siloed thing within businesses. It's like, bring everything together. Let's puke it all out there. Let's figure out the like interwoven pieces of this. And then let's strategize this into several pieces or one piece of content or whatever makes the most sense for your objectives, so that we can turn it into an advertisement, whether that be now or down the road. Something you brought up is like, okay, the person who tests the waters. We've all heard about the algorithms. The truth of the matter is just like an audience, it's like, if this is the first time you're hearing something, it's like, oh, this is new information. Second time you hear it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's sticking with me a little bit more. Fifth time you're hearing it, it's like, oh, yeah, that's that brand. I'm associated with it. So this is going from generating awareness to trust, or maybe mistrust, or just annoyance if it's the wrong messaging out there. So are we going to amplify the wrong messaging too much, too frequently, too often? So when you're thinking about creating a good set of ads, it's like, is it making one piece of content that you run for 3 months and you bombard someone with, and you're like, I never want to see that brand again? Or is it bombarding them with several different pieces of content over the course of 3 months? Because let's be honest, on the social media side of things, we've ran ads for our business, you've ran ads for other people, you've done the social media thing for a long time. What's the truest statement of all that is like, it takes time. It takes a long-term approach. Yeah. If you think you're going to run an ad for 5 days and get the results that you want, you're wrong. Just stop. Don't spend any money if you think that you're going to get the results you want in under 30 days. Right. It takes at least 30 days. And if you're not willing and committed to put the right money towards that for 30 days, and to make sure you're not amplifying the wrong, annoying message over and over, you're actually going to do more damage to your brand's equity, to your brand's reputation. So you got to think about this a lot more strategic than, I need to put X amount of dollars, X amount of days, for X amount of time to make the goals that I want to make. No, get creative with this. What's the first touch point that makes sense? What's the second touch point? What's the third touch point? And can we infuse a longer arching, consistent story? That's going to be a much more successful ad campaign. So where does that come from? That comes from that marketing and storytelling piece first, and then we infuse that into the ad campaign.
Yep. I could not have said it better myself. So on that note, before we wrap this episode up, any major points that we feel like we're missing? Any big things that when it comes to breaking down what marketing is, what advertising is or is not, how they correlate, how they're different, anything you feel like we haven't covered before we tell the people goodbye?
I'm just going to say, we live on this marketing side of the coin, most of the time. And they're specialists in the area of what I call distribution, advertising. You can do that in-house, you can outsource that. But I think the most important thing, no matter what you're doing, is asking, why are we doing this? What is the purpose? What is the goal? How do we want someone to feel throughout this process? We got really nerdy on the ad talk and the marketing talk, which is not a place I like to live a lot of the time. So what I think is just really important is like zooming out a little bit and not just thinking about the dollars and the money set aside, but thinking about what is the obstacle that's in the way of our business and how can we use advertising or marketing to get past that obstacle versus like, let's just do the thing because it's on trend right now. Videos, all the buzz, there's all these social platforms, bumping off. But what we see with trends is they become really popular and then they become mind-numbingly boring and over the top, and it's like, I'm going to unfollow all these pages and get away with this. So stick true to what works, and that's storytelling. Take someone on an adventure. Highlight to them that you're the guide, you're the expert, however you want to position yourself, and that you have unique problems that you solve, and then infuse that into your marketing and your advertising.
And that is what we call an episode of this podcast completed. He has been Josh. I have been Ross. We've been collectively Mylan. And of course, if there's anything sticking out about these marketing and advertising things and all that sort of stuff, it is that storytelling element. And the biggest thing of all that we're going to continuously remind you on this show is that storytelling, well, it takes responsibility.
Thanks for joining us on another episode. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend, rate and like, and all the things we're supposed to tell you to do. If you want more storytelling tips and perspectives from the Mylan team, please join our newsletter and visit the website at mylan.company. That's MYELIN.company. Additionally, if you need help in your video marketing or want to learn more about our method, please feel free to book a discovery call with our team or email josh@jcp.co. This podcast wouldn't be possible without all the great companies that trust us, challenge our way of thinking, and offer amazing feedback. We love to add value to other companies, leaders, and productions. Being a part of that journey is an honor. This has been the Mylan Video Production Podcast. Story takes responsibility. Until next time.